Hey guys, Chandler here, back on my channel Alternate Journey, and today I'm going to be discussing about questions you should never ask a trans individual. Now, for examples purposes, of course, I'm going to be talking from the trans man aspect, after all, since I am a trans man, but these are questions that you shouldn't ask any trans individual, whether or not they are trans man, trans woman, or a non-binary individual. Yeah, let's just jump right in. When did you become transgender? People don't just wake up one day and decide to be transgender, just like how people don't wake up one day and decide to be gay. It's never a choice or decision, it's more of a discovery of oneself. And if you're gonna be asking about someone's identity, I just feel like you shouldn't really ask that question. Like, maybe you could word it as like, when did you come out as trans? Because the thing is like, someone has always been trans throughout their entire life. It's just whether or not when they discovered that they were truly trans and everything like that. So it's not like, when did you become trans? Because then that's implying that like you just woke up one day and you became trans. Or they're implying it as like, oh, like I finally got like all the surgeries, therefore now I'm trans. Now I'm seen as a real man that happens to be trans. I just feel like this question and similar questions regarding this topic like shouldn't be asked unless you yourself are questioning your identity and stuff like that. And it's like, when did you come out as trans? And like ask about like how they knew that they were trans. I feel like those certain questionings just be asked about people within the community or people who are questioning, because like no one really needs to know how you came into terms with yourself, because life itself is just discovering oneself and everything. We're all just in this world, trapped in within this society that we all grew up with, and it's just like, you know, throughout time we just kind of break away from society and realize that some of the rules that we heard when we were kids are kind of bullshit, and it's just like, it's time to be like, just your true self and just do you, as long as you're happy, as long as you're not hurting anybody. So I just feel like no one really needs to know when you came out as trans or how you knew that you were trans, unless like it's helping with advice with someone else that's questioning their identity. Because after all, it doesn't really matter. It's not like a huge thing within your life. It's not like this defining character of yourself. You just happen to be trans. That's all. Are you sure you aren't just super gay? Sexual orientation reflects who a person is attracted to, not anything regarding with their gender identity. You can't assume whom a trans individual is attracted to. After all, transitioning is not a form of conversion therapy. With that question of, are you sure you're just not super gay, that's implying that you did not hear that individual saying that they were trans, and then you associate what they were born as at birth, either AMAB or AFAB, and them being attracted to someone else that was born the same thing and everything is them just being super gay, and them questioning their identity just because of social impact and everything like that, of just like, oh, you know, women are supposed to be this way and men are supposed to be this. When a person comes out to you and everything, they've obviously taken their time and consideration and like evaluated everything within that label to their own life and personal experience. So the fact that like if someone comes out to you and you immediately like put it down and being like, are you sure you're just not gay, it's just like, coming out is a very personal experience, and obviously they want you still in their life and everything like that after they're transitioning. If they plan to transition in certain ways and stuff like that, they want you still in their life. So therefore it's just like, it's very weird and demeaning to just not accept it and just immediately question them right away. What's your real name? This question is just like, it's kind of pointless, but it also pisses a lot of people off. Because the thing is, it's like, there is no true real name to an individual, honestly. Like, we are just born on this earth, and our parents gave us a name that they either just like really liked, they knew someone in the family with that name, so it's kind of like a gift or like a memorial of that individual and stuff like that. Or it's just like a lot of people name their kids off of like characters from books or movies or actors that they really like and stuff. So it's just like, our parents named us without actually really knowing us, and it's not like we're Smurfs where it's like they gave us a name and we just ended up as that character, you know what I mean? Their birth name was from their past, from when they were forced to identify as what they were born as and stuff. And I'm not saying like forced as like the parent, in some cases yes, it's like true force where like their parents or whoever they were like raised by and everything like that made them stay within that box that they were born as and didn't let them venture out. I'm more of saying just within society's term sense being forced and everything, just because like, oh, if you're born girl, like society says that you should do this. If you're born male, you should do this and stuff like that. And that's why I really like the idea of just being very open with your children and just letting them do whatever comes natural to them. Because if it comes natural to them, like there's no harm and stuff like that. They're curious of that thing for a certain reasoning because they have a certain interest in it. They're not just doing it just because everyone else is doing it, or say like, yeah, you have a daughter after finally having 2 sons. Yes, she might do some things and everything like that that the boys do just to connect with her brothers, but is that wrong in the end? That's not going to make her into a trans man. And I also strongly suggest to anyone who is trans or anyone who has changed their name, because it's not just a trans thing to change your name. It's very normal for cis individuals to change their name as well. A lot of people, they're just not associated with the name that they were given to at birth. But I strongly suggest that anyone that confronts anyone to this question of what is your real name, don't say the term birth name. I strongly suggest using the term dead name, because when you use the term birth name, it's giving power to that name, because a lot of people's like, you are what you were born as, and stuff like that. So if you say birth name, it almost gives certain individuals that power to be like, oh, I can still call you that though, because you were born that, and stuff. Especially when it comes to not so supportive parents, because they're like, oh, well, we raised you, I gave birth to you, therefore, I can call you this name, I named you that, and that's your birth name, so I can call you that. So I strongly suggest using dead name, because it's a name that you no longer associate with. A lot of people's like, a dead name sounds too aggressive because it sounds like you're killing off that person that they thought they knew, so it's almost as they were dead. The person themselves is still themselves. It's just the name is no longer existence to that individual because they no longer associate themselves with it. It's no longer them. It was never truly them. It was just a name that you got by with because your parents named you that, and it's like you go through life of the confusion of who you truly are, and once you kind of finally comes in terms with it, you can reveal your true self. Are you going to change your mind? It takes a really long time to come out, whether you are talking about sexual orientation or gender identity, which if you come out as one, or questioning one, you do not have to question the other. Sexual orientation and gender identity is totally 2 completely different things, but they hold the same regard of the struggle of coming out. It takes a really long time. We do a lot of research before we even come out, especially with trans experiences, because it's very financial and very physical what we have to do with hormones and surgeries. That is, if that is part of our transition. We do our research to try to figure out what is this void and confusion within us. It's just weird because like when you're a kid, sometimes with certain trans individuals, you're okay with, like, say if you're an AFAB, you're okay with the she, her pronouns for a while. But then to some it may seem random, but it's like a slow developing thing where you feel the uncomfortableness of the she, her pronouns and you don't know why. It's because you're finally understanding those words actually hold a lot of value and everything, because it is separating people into certain societal categories of what that person is meant to do and characteristics that they're supposed to have. Even though, yes, these are social categories and social stereotypes and stuff like that, but it's like as you grow older, you realize what people mean when they say certain things, and that's why you start to feel that discomfort, because you can finally associate social regards and stuff like that of like what people think when they say man and woman. Because honestly, when we're all kids, we all really do act and think that we're the same. We all have the same interests kind of and stuff like that. We just play with that, whatever toys and stuff. Yes, when you get a little bit older, like 5 or 6, you know, boys always say boys are better than girls and stuff like that, and you start to realize the characteristics that society separates into man and women and stuff. So it's just like, that's why it kind of just happens, where you just slowly realize that. So it's like, it takes a long time and stuff like that, but when you look back and do your research, you're like, oh, that was gender dysphoria. So it's like, to some people it may seem random, but it's like, it is dysphoria. It is really progression and stuff like that, and then finally it kind of just breaks through where you need to do something about it, and it's like you start to experiment with things and stuff like that, whether it's your gender expression, your pronouns and stuff like that with close friends that you feel comfortable with, your name change and stuff, and it's just like, yeah, that's how it kind of goes out and stuff like that. So no, a lot of people who come out as trans won't change their mind because they've gone through the steps and everything, and it's just like, we could try to explain to you guys in thousands of different ways of what dysphoria means and how it feels, but if you do not have dysphoria, you will never truly understand. And I think that's what the struggle is, and a lot of people still don't understand what it means to be trans and everything, just because it's just something that's really hard to explain. I strongly suggest that a lot of people go see a therapist and go through a gender clinic, obviously because there are therapists there that are specialized in gender therapy. So it's just like, especially if someone goes through the process, they take the steps slowly and stuff like that and come to real, true realization of who they are, no, they're not going to change their mind. So, and also I've talked to many individuals that did detransition, and some of them actually said that it was actually helpful. Like, they needed to go through that somewhat transition that they did in order to realize even more of themselves. Yes, they were not trans and everything, but they just, like, it was kind of like a realization about societal norms and stuff like that, just because of how they grew up. This was kind of like their experimental phase. Yes, it sucks that some of them actually did were on hormones for a long time, and some actually went through certain surgeries, but it's like, that's the thing, that's why you should go to a gender clinic, and you should take things slowly and stuff like that, and come to real true realizations before you do anything. What kind of treatment are you getting? First off, trans people are not sick. It is not a mental illness in any regards. Therefore, it doesn't need any so-called treatment. Yes, there are hormone replacement therapy and then certain trans surgeries that individuals can get, but the thing is, it's just like, there is no designed pamphlet that you have to do step by step when transitioning. Every transition is different. And the thing is, it's just, yes, it is called hormone replacement therapy just because it is, yes, we're replacing our hormones for what they were supposed to be for ourselves and everything. But it's just, a lot of people confuse it, since it has the word therapy at the end, that transitioning, that being trans is an actual mental illness, because, like, to cure mental illness, you need therapy and stuff like that. But the thing is, it's just like, whatever you are doing for yourself is therapy. Going on hormones is a sense of therapy, because we are going on it and stuff like that to alleviate dysphoria. And for a lot of individuals, HRT is an extreme release of dysphoria for many individuals. And also, you do not need to go on hormones to be trans at all. Just saying that. What surgeries did you have? And did you get all the surgeries? So like I said, there's no pamphlet, there's no checklist of like, oh, I did this is the order you have to do it. And then once the checklist is all done, you're like, okay, you're officially a man that happens to be trans. You're officially a woman that happens to be trans. No, that's not how it goes. Everyone has different levels of dysphoria. Therefore, everyone's transition is gonna be slightly different. Yes, there's that basic transitioning where, for a trans man, going on hormone replacement therapy, getting top surgery, getting a form and bottom surgery, and then trans women going on hormone replacement therapy, getting breast implants, and then getting, you know, bottom surgery and stuff. So it's like, yes, there's that, like, societal, this is what transitioning is, but the thing is that not everyone has bottom dysphoria. Not everyone has a problem with their actual hormones, because, like, a lot of people actually are singers and they don't want to mess up their voice, therefore they won't go on hormones, because for trans men, at least, it really changes your voice. I mean, obviously, if you see my channel, hello, yes. Like, it does that. There is no complete version of being trans. Also, surgeries are extremely expensive, so if an individual has dysphoria and stuff like that, but they can't afford surgeries, that is no fault of their own and stuff like that. So yeah, not everyone can afford them. And then last but not least, the question that is just, it's just so, it's just, why? Why do you even act, like, okay, how do you have sex? You don't ask everybody this, so why would you ask trans individuals this? Or literally anyone in the LGBTQ plus community gets this question. Like, especially lesbians, I feel like get this question. Then again, gays do too, because it's like, oh, who's the top or the bottom? That is, like, that is literally asking, how do you guys have sex and stuff. No one's sex life is anyone's business except for the person themselves and the person that they're engaging in sexual intercourse with. So it's just like, also, it's tying back into that, what surgeries did you get? Because they're wondering, like, oh, did you get bottom surgery? It's just, it's pointless. It's not information that you need to know within your daily life in any regard. Basically, when it comes to trans individuals, if you wouldn't ask anyone this question, whether or not you knew they were trans or not, don't ask them. Just because someone has came to you and said, hey, I'm trans, and they're coming out and stuff like that, that doesn't mean that they are now an open book and taking on all the questions that you have. Yes, it is okay to be curious and to try to educate yourself, but certain things are very personal where you do not actually need to know. If you would not ask your regular cis friends, why would you ask this trans individual that question? So, especially like if that person like doesn't even know you. Like I hate that scenario when like someone finds out that someone's trans and they start asking them questions. It's like, I don't even know you. Like, what are you doing here? But they always give that excuse, I'm just curious and trying to educate myself. The thing is, you don't really need to educate yourself on personal things that I'm doing to my body. It is my body, my right, therefore my decisions, and you don't need to know anything about it. Yes, of course, it is different when a trans individual is asking another trans individual certain questionings and stuff like that. That is just because they're trans themselves, or an individual that's in confusion of one's identity and stuff like that. It's a little bit different just because it's an actual discussion that we can actually have with it being peaceful, just because like we know what dysphoria is and stuff like that, and it's just like they're also trying to just gain information for their own transition as well, like what doctors to go to for certain surgeries and stuff like that, what therapists to go to get their hormone letter and stuff like that. Anyways, I hope you guys learned a little bit from today. I hope you guys never ask these questions ever again. Yes, I've actually had some of these questions asked to me in my YouTube comments and stuff like that, so it's just like, yes, if I see a question and I don't reply, that's probably why. It's probably transphobic without you realizing it's transphobic. And it's just like, there's certain things that you guys don't need to know. Yes, I'm putting my transition out on YouTube, mainly for myself to track back and stuff like that, because for some reason, I kind of want to remember. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll delete all my videos. Who knows? But just for right now, I do want to track back and see how far I've come. Probably just because my dysphoria is so bad, just because I can't get to surgery so quickly that I want to. That's why it's like, it's good to have those videos just to see the beginning and see how far I actually have come and stuff like that. I just recently celebrated my 1.5 years on testosterone. So yeah, I've definitely changed a lot since pre-T. Anyways, I hope you guys found this video helpful. Please comment down below if you guys want me to make a part 2 of this video or any other content that you'd like to see on my channel. Look at the statistics. If you find yourself watching more than one of my videos, might as well subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell down below so you get notifications whenever I upload a video. I'll see you guys next time.